Good evening, everyone. How are you? Hope you all guys are fine. I saw that. So, Mohan Kumar, I'll give you a chance. We'll start in some time, and then we'll give you the chance to talk on this session as well. Okay. All right. So, guys, just a quick confirmation. I hope everyone is able to see my screen. Yeah. Yes. No. Maybe. Yes. Good. So Rajita, Pankaj, Parth, Ekansh, Shantilal, Dhanraj. Ekansh, that's a good name. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and let me introduce, first of all, one thing which we need to talk about, and we did that yesterday as well. So we are introducing Firewall Mastery 5-in-1. Okay, now that is one of the best when it comes to the industry. Why? Because this kind of course is covering up each and everything when it comes to an engineer who is looking out for a job, or a person who's basically looking out for a promotion, or anybody who wants to enter into this particular field. Okay, so our course, from the Network Journey Firewall Mastery 5-in-1, basically would allow you to get familiar with it, with the firewalls that we have, and also get an expertise level of knowledge when it comes to Palo Alto, Fortigate firewall, F5, ASA, checkpoint. Okay, so end of the day, it would be very beneficial for anybody who is looking for that next appraisal or a jump, or maybe a new job, and trying to enter into this field. Okay, so Firewall Mastery 5-in-1 will basically help you guys in achieving the targets that you have set in your couple of coming up months. Okay, all right. So I hope this is clear for you. Okay, so the course is Firewall Mastery 5-in-1. We would be able to teach you all these firewalls, because we are all working on these devices from a very long time. Okay, and since we are talking about it, let me go ahead and introduce myself so that you can also get familiar about the person who is talking. Okay, all right. So first of all, my you can basically call me with the name of RV. Okay, let me just put in my name so you can basically call me RV, because what happens is it's not really my name is a little bit difficult to pronounce. So RV is a good initials to start with. Okay. Now, just to give a little bit of explanation about my experience. So I have around 11 years of experience in this field of network security. All right. Now, to start with, I think around 11ish years ago, I started off with the very basic, the CCNA. Okay, and um, the next was CCNA security. Okay, I started loving this particular vendor, and I started really got interested into the networking. So I was like, I don't want to stop over here. I want to learn more about it. So I then, when this was completed, I went into CCNP. Okay, routing and switching. Okay, now once that was done, then I went into the route CCNP security. Okay, and as soon as I was trying to learn more and more, it was becoming interesting more and more. So I never stopped over there as well. So I went to CCIE security as well. Okay, so to give you a little bit of idea, CCIE security is basically the highest level certification that you can get with Cisco. These are divided into two parts. One is called as theory, Okay, the next one is called as the labs, practical application of that. Okay, so when I have completed my theory part, I got some offers from really good companies, and I was like, okay, I skipped the lab part, and I was like, okay, so let's start with the career. Okay, so I started off, so I'm just being honest. So I started off with the CCI security, and then when I got into the company, which is a company which is called as CSS Corp. I have anybody heard about this company? Okay, so I started off over here, and then I started off with Juniper certification, which is JNCIA. Okay, and then I started off with the Sonic Wall certification, which is CSSA. Okay, and then I started off with the NSC 4. Okay, and then I'm also holding NSC 7. Okay, NSC 7 is basically one of the highest certifications for the Fortigate firewall. Okay, so I've gone through all these certifications. Okay, and this has been my journey in the last 11 years. Okay, so I exactly know what it takes in the market, or what is required right now in the market, or in the what exactly a company is requiring from an engineer, what exactly and a company is looking out when it comes to an engineer, and what kind of skills that particular guy must have. Okay, thank you, Irfan. So that was really kind words. So Irfan is basically saying that is very impressive. Glad that you're teaching us. Okay, all right. So that is just about a little bit description about myself. Now, actually, one thing more I wanted to tell you. So I don't have any technical degree. I basically come from Bachelor of Commerce. So anybody who's coming from a non-technical background, let me tell you, very honest, it doesn't matter if you have a technical degree or not. If you have the right skills, and you are eager to learn technology, this is it. This is what exactly is required right now. Gone are the days that you need a BTech degree or BCA or some kind of technical degree. Okay, so that is not the case right now. There are a lot of companies out there who are willing to hire you on the basis of the knowledge that you carry. So my friend, the only thing which really matters right now is the knowledge that you have, and the firewall mastery 5-in-1 would basically help you get that mastery or get that knowledge to achieve the targets that you have in the coming 2021. Okay, all right. So now we just introduced what exactly the course is about, that is firewall mastery. I just introduce myself as well. Okay, now let me go ahead and talk about the Fortigate firewall. Okay, so we'll be starting. Fortigate firewall is just a part of this firewall mastery. So we are starting off with that. And once we complete the Fortigate firewall, then we'll start off with the next one, which is Paloalto, then Checkpoint, then F5 LTM, then the ASA. So by the end of this firewall mastery course, you would have a great experience. Okay, now let me show you how would you start. Okay, so just to give an idea, you'll start with something like this. Okay, just normal FortiGate firewall with an high availability setup. Okay, basic setup. You're able to access the device. You're able to create some VPNs and all that stuff. Okay, but by the end of the course, in the couple of months, you will not only be handling the FortiGate firewall. You will be handling Palo Alto. You will be handling Checkpoint. You will be having Cisco ASA. Okay, you will be creating VPNs between them. You will be creating MPLS crowd, and you're trying to access the resources on the other side. Okay, so it will be very interesting, because this particular scenario, the massive topology that you are seeing over here, this is actually one of the working setup of a company. Okay, so if you are getting trained on a setup which is already existing on a company's network, then you know how, and practically know that what exactly is needed from an engineer point of view, to work on a device and to troubleshoot issues with multiple devices. And if you have multiple network devices, how do you troubleshoot? How do you basically approach that particular issue? That really matters. Okay, so by the end of this course, you would be having this much of experience and knowledge on it. Okay, so buckle up, and we'll start working on this. So we'll start with the FortiGate firewall. Okay, because it's very easy to understand when it comes to the firewall technology. Okay. Okay, now let's go ahead and start with the Fortigate firewall. So we just introduced Fortigate firewall yesterday, right? Now we'll be talking about a little bit more about what exactly the setup is, the deployment, how exactly a Fortigate firewall works, and all that stuff. Okay, and then maybe by 9:10, 9:15, we'll open up a discussion forum so that you can basically ask whatever questions that you have. Okay, all right. So let's me bring up the PPT file. I hope you guys are able to see the screen again. Okay, all right, let's start. So the module objectives over here. So by the end of this module, what will you guys be able to do? Okay, you will be able to identify the major features of the Fortigate unified threat management. Also, you will also understand that what exactly is a unified threat management. What, when it comes to UTM, what exactly it is, because this is one of the terminologies which is being used very commonly nowadays. So let's try to understand what exactly is this guy. Okay, access and they use the Fortigate administration interfaces, create administrators, configure the Fortigate unit for the lab environment used to complete the hands-on exercises. At the end of the day, you need to perform the hands-on lab exercises, right? So you'll get those experiences over here as well. Okay, now FortiGuard server communication. Now FortiGuard is one of the servers which is really important when it comes to the FortiGate firewall. We'll talk about that. Okay, so guys, let's start up. I would like to have an interactive session. So, keep your fingers and the keyboard ready. I'll be asking you questions. I want you guys to put in your answers in the chat window. Okay. All right. So first thing that we'll be talking about is a traditional network security solution. Okay. Now tell me, if I want to, so let's just, go back a couple of years, let's say 10 years, 20 years back. Okay. The traditional network security. So let's say, this is the internet or the ISP. Okay. Now I am over here. Okay. Skinny guy. And I want to access some resource. Okay. So I have to make sure that I pass through the network and then basically reach the, the server that I have. Okay. If that's the case, how many devices do I need to go through to ensure that I'm able to access that particular server? Okay. So in the traditional setup, what happened was, let me show you. So just understand that this is a packet coming in. So the first thing which it needs to go through is a firewall. Okay. Then it needs to go through an antivirus, then an anti-spam, then WAN optimization. All right. Then you have web filtering in place. Okay. Then you have application control in place. Okay. So intrusion prevention, VPNs, and I think lot of more features. Okay. So what exactly you are seeing over here is that whatever the traffic which is coming from the ISP, okay, from the internet side, if it needs to access any of the servers, it has to go through like this. Okay. And then when all the devices process that traffic, then it would basically enter the network and would be able to access whatever resources that it wants to. Okay. Now, can anybody tell me in the chat window, what is the disadvantage of this kind of a network design that we used to have? So Ajinkya says latency. Okay. Mohan Kumar says a lot of devices. Absolutely, we can see that. What else can be a problem? Buy multiple licenses. Absolutely, Pankaj. That is actually one of the very pain points of having multiple devices. Okay. Uh, Olivier saying administration overhead. Again, a pain point. Irfan, cost. Exactly. Shantilal, cost. Scalability. Tenacious. This is again one of the pain points. Scalability, because when it comes to so many devices, you are restricted of scaling the network, because you need to ensure that all these devices are still able to function properly when you are scaling the device, scaling the network. Okay. All right. So brilliant answers, really up to the mark, to the point, and pain issues which every company has. Okay. This is actually what happens. So the device, the traffic needs to go through all these devices first, and then finally you can access the resources. Okay. So this is what exactly is the problem. Now let's have a look into the Fortinet solution. Okay, how does a Fortinet or a Fortigate firewall is able to match all these issues and able to fix all these issues by its own Fortigate firewall. Okay, same setup. You go through the Fortigate firewall. Okay, but rather than going through a lot of devices, you are just using one device over here. Okay, and that particular device is able to process the traffic through the firewall, then antivirus, anti-spam, WAN optimization, web filtering, basically whatever we have seen right now in the traditional setup, the same functionality you get with the Fortigate firewall. Now look over here. It makes so much sense over here that I have one device which is able to do all these options, or which is able to perform all these functionalities, and I'm reducing the overhead. I'm reducing the cost. There's no administration overheads. I don't have to buy multiple licenses. I don't have to manage a lot of devices. And when it comes to latency, it is also performing up to the mark, because what happens is nowadays the devices which is coming into coming in the market, they are performance driven. Now when I say performance driven, okay, these are performance driven. That means that, let me give you a very simple analogy over here. Okay, do you remember we used to have a Intel processor which we call as Celeron, right? Okay, now sorry, so let's try to understand this. Let's say you have a very heavy application. Okay, now you have Celeron devices with you, so you need let's say 5 Celeron processors to ensure that that particular application is able to work correctly. Okay, now you have a device which is basically having all these processes, but then rather than having the Celeron processor, it has a i7 processor. Okay, so not only it would be able to handle that particular application, okay, but it is going to ensure that that particular application is running up to the mark, giving the best performance, and also is secured enough. Okay, this is what exactly a firewall also does nowadays, because we used to have old devices, old hardwares, okay, which were not really up to the mark, were just performing up, barely to the point. Now you have performance driven devices which ensure that they are able to handle, or they're capable of handling much more than what your network can provide. Okay, so that is why Fortinet basically ensures that all the functionalities of these devices is encoded in one device, and that is why you call that as a unified threat management. Why? Because you have a unified, meaning one device. Okay, and what exactly all these are all threat management. Okay, different features that you can use to manage the different kinds of threats that lurks in the network. Okay, so this is what a UTM basically means. You have one device which is trying to manage all kind of threats and exploits that could happen in your network. Okay, all right, and yes, happily the traffic basically passes. Okay, so we were talking about performance driven, right? Let's see what exactly that means. Okay, so we have something which is called as the purpose driven hardware. Now what exactly this means, purpose driven hardware? Purpose driven hardware basically means that the traffic is the device is made in such a way that it maintains the performance stability, and is also able to handle the traffic according to the customers or the client's requirement. Okay, so Ashish has a question of that all firewalls have UTM features. So Ashish, in a way you can say that. Okay, now what happens is that we have something which is called as a firewall mode. Okay, you have a you have a next generation firewall mode, and then you have a UTM mode that which we'll be talking about in the upcoming classes. So hang on, we will explain you all those options that we have in place. Okay, now let's try to understand purpose driven hardware, right? So what comes on top of the purpose driven hardware? Okay, you might have heard about that just like your laptop. Okay, your laptop, what exactly your laptop has. I mean, if you just look into it from a very basic level, laptop is a piece of hardware, right? That particular hardware, okay, you have a laptop, which is basically a piece of hardware. On the top of that particular hardware, you have an operating system, which is called as Windows 10, let's say. Okay. On the top of Windows 10, you have applications such as, let's say Office. Okay. And then you have user interface, which basically enables you to make sure that you're able to work on the office, and the office will be able to provide instructions to the Windows operating system, which is basically installed on the laptop, which is your hardware. Exactly same thing happens on all the firewalls out there, not just Fortigate firewall, all the firewalls out there. You have a hardware, okay, and on top of that particular hardware, you have something which is called as the FortiOS. All right, so Fortigate firewall basically mentions its operating system as a Forti operating system, or FortiOS. Okay. All right. The next is basically you have, just as I said, that once you're done with the Windows 10 operating system, then operating system have applications into it, right? So we have features of the UTM features, which is called as firewall. You have antivirus, you have web filter, you have IPS, you have app control, you have DNS filter. There's a lot more features that you can have on it. Okay. So basically this in all total is called as the UTM. Okay. These are the functionalities or the features of the firewall. And then on top of this, we have the Fortigate subscription services. Okay. Okay, think of it this like this. You have antivirus software which is installed on your Windows 10 machine. Okay. Now, to make sure that that particular antivirus software performs at the peak and is making sure that your laptop is virus free, it will make sure that it is always updated with the servers. Okay, because it's going to take the right update services and ensure that it has the right signatures with it, so that if in case there's any virus which matches that particular signature, the antivirus is able to block that traffic and make sure that your Windows laptop is clean. Okay, same thing happens over here with the help of which we call as FortiGuard subscription services. Okay, here what is happening is FortiGuard subscription service are basically servers. These servers will ensure that you have the right web filtering updates, AV updates, IPS updates, and a lot of other updates to make sure that your FortiGate firewall is having all the right information about the signatures and the antivirus or the malicious softwares and the malicious websites. And if in case you are trying to access any of those websites, FortiGate firewall is going to block that particular traffic. So it will ensure that your network is clean, malicious free. Okay. All right. So this is the architecture of the Fortigate firewall. All right. You have the hardware, you have the operating system, the applications, and then, the features, the UTM features, and the Fortigate subscription services on top of that. Okay. Okay. A quick question. So this is one of the interview questions. Okay. This question was asked in British Telecom. And the question was that I have a network diagram over here. I have a headquarter in place, I have a branch office, and then I have a home office. Okay. Where would you place a firewall? Not a FortiGate firewall or Paloalto firewall. They are asking that if you want to place a firewall, where would you place it, and what will be the reason behind it? Okay, so that's the question that I want to ask you guys as well. What would be your answers? Where would you place the firewall? And let's say this is your server farm. Okay, so let me give you 30 seconds. Chat window, come on, guys. Okay, so Abdul says headquarters. Irfan, HQ and branch of office, Ismail, HQ. Then you have Shantilal as core and edge, then HQ. Okay, so basically mostly you are saying that that the device needs to be at the HQ. Okay. Okay. Right. So basically, you would be placing the FortiGate firewall or any firewall for that matter in the headquarters. Obviously, the reason is that you have server farms out there, right? So whoever is on the internet, if it needs to access the server farm, it needs to go through the headquarters. Okay. And you need to have a FortiGate firewall over there. Okay. Now, branch office also needs a firewall in place. Why? See, the reason is quite simple enough that if in case something goes bad, and your branch office gets infected, okay, the infection would basically would stay in that particular branch office. It would not get spread it across to your headquarters or any machine which is connected to the headquarters. So even your if your home office is connected through the VPN to the headquarters, it will also get infected, right? So a firewall at state level or branch locations make sure that if in case something goes bad, it stays at that particular location. Okay. So right answers, basically you would be placing up your firewalls in the headquarters, the branch office, and some kind of firewall with your home office as well. I'm not saying you need to have a FortiGate firewall, but then you need to have some kind of firewall in there. Okay. All right. So we can see over here that you have FortiGate firewall installed. Then you have something which is called as FortiAnalyzer, which in short, you can call that as FAS, FortiAnalyzer. Now, what exactly this guy does? FortiAnalyzer would help you save logs. Okay. It will also help you to generate reports. What is reports? Reports basically is fetching the information from your logs, okay, and giving you a detailed information, a diagrammatic representation or a graphical representation of what exactly is going on your network. Okay, because end of the day, logs is not just for saving, it also help you identify that what kind of network you are handling, or how good your network is, or what is the health of your network. Okay, if it is catching a lot of malicious websites, a lot of Trojan viruses, then you know that okay, your network is not in a good place. Okay, you need to work on the security and ensure where exactly is the problem, because when you have a lot of malicious viruses in your network, you would continuously see specific IP addresses which is getting blocked by the FortiGate firewall. Okay, and then you need to make a decision that okay, looks like this particular IP of 10.1.1, it's getting blocked a lot, and by it's getting detected by the antivirus, I think there's some problem over here. So you go to that particular IP address, you scan the traffic again, you use some of the the corporate antivirus solutions that you have, and see if you can ensure that the device can be cleaned again. And if in case it's not, you might have to format the device again. Okay, so you need some kind of a device which could potentially help you understand the health of your network. And how do you do that? With the help of logs. You need to save your logs. Where do you save that? You use the FortiAnalyzer. Okay, or maybe a syslog server or any kind of third-party software that you can use to save your logs. Okay, so you need a FortiAnalyzer at the headquarters, some kind of a syslog server, plus your FortiGate firewall or any firewall out there. Same thing goes with the branch office, but you can basically share the analyzer with the branch office as well. When it comes to home office, there will be some kind of antivirus or a firewall from the client's own PC. And if it is a corporate laptop, then you have all the right softwares in place to ensure that that particular laptop stays clean. Okay. Ajinkya has a question: that is FortiAnalyzer a different hardware device than FortiGate Firewall? That is absolutely right, Ajinkya. So FortiAnalyzer is a different device altogether. Okay, it provides you with the information about reports. It presents you the data in a very, I would say, uh, you know, in a historical format or a graphical format, pie chart format, table format, list format. The reason is it makes sure that you are able to understand or you are able to fetch information from those logs, right? That is why you need that. Okay. Next is, so Irfan says that how long do you save the logs for? Any best practice default time like 90 days? So Irfan, the best practice is basically saving the logs for at least a year, at least 1 year. Okay, now it all depends on the company, whatever the company that you are part of. Okay, that what is the time frame that they want to go for. In my company's environment, we save the logs for 2 years. Okay, now although it's not really required, but then it depends on what kind of network that you have. So if it is a very big network, you might need to save the information a little longer, because at times, because of some auditing or some kind of inspection happens in the in the company, and they want to fetch the information from the last 6 months or a year, then you have the right devices with you that they are able to fetch that information. Okay. All right. So Pankaj has just like three-way handshake or different protocol. Where exactly are you talking about the three-way handshake? Ajinkya, is Fortigate similar to Wildfire feature in Palo Alto? Wildfire is basically sandboxing. Sandboxing is basically you're ensuring that a file gets opened up in a virtual environment, and then it is looked upon for any kind of malicious softwares. We do have that. We call it Forti Sandbox, but FortiGuard is like an update server for the FortiGate firewall. So it makes sure that the FortiGate firewall has the right signatures with it. Okay. All right. Okay, so Pankaj says how to communicate between the analyzer and firewall. You would learn that in the course, Pankaj, but then you need for UDP 541 to communicate between the FortiGate firewall and the Forti analyzer. Okay, all right. So this is how exactly the solution is for the Fortigate firewall. Okay, now let me go ahead and move further. Sumit, the function of IPS, we'll be talking about that. We are just introducing the FortiGate firewall right now. Okay, so we will be talking about the IPS. We have it in one of the features of the firewall. We will be working with the IPS very closely. So we'll explain that as well. Coming next, this is just about the the features and the benefits of having the FortiGate firewall. Let me move ahead. Um, Okay, looks like some problem with the PPT. All right, no problems. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me show you what you would be working with. Let's have a look. Okay, so this is kind of the topology that you will be working with. We will be changing the topology, as we progress with the classes. Okay, you will be working with multiple firewalls. You will be configuring the firewalls in the high availability setup. Then you will be trying to access the firewall from the outside. You will be trying to block something from the inside, and a lot of different scenarios. Why? Because I will try to explain what happens in a real environment, because that is what matters to you, right? You need to know what happens at the real environment, and that is you would be able to understand and work, because once you are facing an interviewer and he is asking you questions on what kind of a network you have deployed the FortiGate firewall, or how would you troubleshoot a FortiGate firewall, you should be able to present the interviewer with some of the scenarios or situations where you have made sure that the FortiGate firewall is working fine. You troubleshooted the issue and you were able to fix the problem as well. Okay, so you would be able to basically explain a scenario, and that what matters to the interviewer as well, because he should know that okay, it is not just the theoretical knowledge, you also have the practical knowledge when it comes to the FortiGate firewall. So you know, if you're just left in the office, let's say it's a Saturday and there's nobody, you're not able to access any resources, then you are the right guy. You would be able to handle the traffic. You would be able to handle the people. You would be able to handle the Fortigate firewall. This is what any company or any interviewer is basically looking for, and we'll take care of that. We'll explain you all the live issues, or I would say practical issues, which basically is required in the company's environment. Okay, so this is the lab topology that we will be starting off with, and we'll make some changes according to the situations and the scenarios, and we'll proceed with that. Okay. All right, so let me do one thing. It's 9:10. Let me open up um, an open discussion with all of you guys. You can basically ask me anything that you guys want. Okay, so give me 1 minute. Let me. So guys, whoever has any questions, go ahead and raise your hands. Okay, so yes, Irfan.
Hi, Harvey. This is more of just a class question. Is I know we're going to be covering different technologies. So after the Fortigate, is Palo going to start right away? Just so I have an idea of, getting my schedules straightened out.
Okay. So basically, yes. I mean, we have already started. I mean, yesterday was the first class. Today is the second class of basically the introduction level, the high level overview of Fortigate firewall. And tomorrow we'll be digging a little bit more about the functions and the functionalities of a FortiGate firewall. How
No, I get it. Yep, I got that. What I'm saying is, after the FortiGate's over, is Palo or SA, whichever one comes next, is that going to start right away, or is that going to be like a week or two in between?
I think so. What we normally do is that we have a gap, because we make sure that if anybody is left with some of the sessions or practicals, they're able to complete that in 1 week gap, and then we start off with the next one.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Pankaj.
The firewall subscription with hardware come with hardware or differently?
So the subscription basically is on the basis of the serial number. Okay, so if you have, let's say for example, you're working with AWS, you can also deploy a FortiGate firewall on the cloud, right? There's no hardware over there. So what you do is you use the serial number to map the licenses, and that is how it works, that it uses your serial number to map the FortiGate firewall licenses. So it doesn't matter if it is a hardware or software, it uses the serial number.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Mohan Kumar, do you have a question?
I have. Can we able to set up the lab,
we'll help you
in our own device, so that image will be provided?
We'll help you with that, Mohan. Don't worry.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so Amjad. Irfan, I think you have do you have another question? If not, then I'll probably lower your hand if you don't have the question.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, cool.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So as you said that we can deploy a firewall on AWS with no hardware. So can you just give me an idea how exactly it is, because I'm not aware of how these things work. Just want to know how exactly this will be deployed if you want to deploy.
So basically, there are a lot of softwares right now that you can basically use to have your own network setup. Okay, to just to start with, we have something which is called as GNS3. Then you have a software which is called as EVE-NG. Okay, so I'm going to assist you. I'll try to assist you that if you want to deploy your own setup, I will be able to let you know that okay, this is what you need to do to ensure that you are able to do it. Okay, but EVE-NG is basically one of the softwares out there which would help you, deploy a good network setup on your own laptop.
Okay, fine. Also, one thing, no assets to this, laptop. I mean the lab thing. So we do take no AWS services generally, right? Right. I mean, we do deploy our servers over there.
Yeah.
So in any case, will any client or will any user will be wanting his own firewall to be deployed over there, or will there be any scenario something like that? I mean, in real time. I mean, if I was over hosted in AWS, and if I want some specific firewall to be deployed or specific firewall services to be running there, so is it possible?
It is possible because nowadays everything basically is moving on to the clouds, right? So you have vendors like AWS and Azure, and then you have GCP, Google, right? So all of them have I would say they have the similar infrastructure of how you deploy a firewall, and that's absolutely possible. And there are a couple of I'll help you out if in case you need a situation or a scenario of how do you deploy it on the AWS. So I'll let you know that as well.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Mohan?
Amjad.
Yes, Mohan.
Yes, sir. If we use the cloud computing system, our data network in cloud computing, we still win a physical Fortinet network.
Hello.
Can you repeat, Amjad? I missed out the question that you had.
So I'm just I'm asking you if our system data system network is on the cloud system, then we still need the physical firewall.
See, it all depends on how exactly your client's requirement is. Normally what happens is that if your client has, or your company is basically having a cloud environment, then they would basically would like to have some kind of network security or a firewall security over there as well. Okay, because see, when it comes to cloud, the only difference is that you have, you have the same setup, same features, same functionalities. It's just that you don't have a hardware setup, you have a virtual setup. Okay, but still you have a virtual setup, but you still need the security in place, right? So you would still need the firewall over there.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
All right. Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, Harvey, can you explain the difference between the Forti Manager and Forti Analyzer and Fortigate security and enterprise firewall?
Okay, see, so I'll probably I'll give you a one-liner, but then it's all it's covered in the course. So Forti Manager is like a device which would be able to help you with management of multiple Fortigate firewalls. So let's say, for example, you need to push a firewall policy which is a common policy and needs to be deployed, let's say, for 10 firewalls. Okay, so the traditional way would be to go to each firewall and then use that configure that policy. Forti Manager is basically what it will do is that you can push that particular policy into the 10 devices, and just by one click you will be able to make sure that all the firewalls have the right policy in place. That is Forti Manager for you to manage different devices. Okay, different devices, and as I mean is basically the Fortigate device, okay, or the other Fortinet products. When it comes to the Forti Analyzer,
okay, it's like as in a Cisco is a FMC, right?
Yeah,
FMC and Forti Manager in the same
similarity is there, yes.
Similarity. Okay.
Now, Analyzer is like a reporting tool where it stores all the logs and provides you with the information about what has happened in the last week, last month, last 6 months, or last 1 year when it comes to your network. Okay. So historical analysis to get a good amount of idea of how what is the network health. Okay, is it good enough? Is it not? What exactly is happening? Okay.
What about this Fortigate security and enterprise firewall? Is there any differences there?
See, when it comes to enterprise firewall, although I think tomorrow I'll be talking about the products that the Fortigate firewall, I mean the Fortinet has. Enterprise firewall is just another name of a high-end firewall. Okay, because the firewalls basically start from SOHO, which is small office to home office, from a very basic level, and then it goes way beyond till ISP. I'll cover that anyway tomorrow, so stay tuned and do let me know. Yes, tomorrow, just remind me so that as soon as we start off, I'll go ahead and tell you that okay, these are the products, this is the high-end firewall, this is the enterprise level firewall. So you'll get to know that okay, what is the look and feel of that devices and how do you work on those devices.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you.
All right, so okay guys, so let me go ahead and stop for now, just for today. We'll meet again tomorrow and same time frame, and then we'll start off with the Fortigate products, firewall products. How does it look like, and what all the different functions and features that you have, and then we'll hit into the CLI. We'll see what commands do you have, how do you function, how do you how do you execute some commands, and what kind of information that you can fetch from those commands. All right. So let's meet up tomorrow, 8:30. Be on time, and we'll start off by 8:35 maximum. Okay. All right, guys. Let's meet up tomorrow. See you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.